All right, folks, let's come back together for our next two docketed items, and I'll call on Ms. Fox to read both of those, please.
Docket PZ 17-026. Application has been filed by Christian Brothers Automotive for the approval of a development plan on approximately .87 acres. The property is located at 6402 Claymont Crossing, Crestwood. The current zoning is C3 General Business District. Application has been filed by Carroll's LLC for the approval of a development plan on approximately .90 acres. The property is located at 6402 Claymont Crossing, Crestwood. The current zoning is C3 General Business District.
All right, Ms. Feeman, I assume you'll be presenting today?
Yes, sir. Good morning. Brooke Beeman, planner with Oldham County Planning and Development Services. As Ms. Fox stated, we're going to review both docketed items together, and we'll explain later on in the presentation why that is. But as you can see, they're both located on the same property, 6402 Claymont Crossing. If this docket is approved, both dockets are approved, they will go through the minor plat process to split those two items into the Burger King tract, which is .90 acres approximately, and the Christian Brothers tract, which is .87 acres. Also wanted to clear up what you may see from the TRC minutes that but both will not share the same address. Burger King will retain the 6402 Claymont Crossing address, and the Christian Brothers tract will receive a separate address, which will be given by our addressing coordinator, Matt Tolar. So it is Zone C3 General Business District. You can see the aerial view. It's located on the corner of Claymont Crossing and Veterans Memorial Parkway, directly across from the South Oldham complex. And this is the current zoning of the surrounding area. You can see this is currently Zone C3, bounded by R2 and R4, as well as C3. So it's a relatively mixed use area. On January 28, 2003, the Planning Commission approved a zoning map amendment from R2 and CO1 to R2, R4, and C3, and they also approved a preliminary plan for a development known as Claymont Crossings. So this was the 2003 approved development plan. This whole development, as you can see, came in as one mixed use center. So the single family homes, which are Claymont Springs that are in the back of that section, were approved. The gardens of Claymont Springs, which are patio homes that bound the commercial lots to the west, were approved. At the time, it was you see circled in gray, the villas of Claymont Springs came forward separately in a zoning map amendment last year, but originally as a part of this approval, it was just a section of single family homes. And then there were 6 commercial lots approved with this development as well. And I do want to note that there was a traffic study done as a part of this approval, but the traffic study did not warrant any turning lanes or any kind of traffic improvements. The only thing that they were required to do was widen this road, which was at the time Central, is now High Point. So I also wanted to go over what is existing and what still will be built. So most of the single-family subdivision outlined in blue has been built. There are still close to 10 single-family lots that have yet to be built on. And then there will be 27 garden homes built basically right across from the commercial lots off of Claymont Crossing. And then there are still 24 patio home units, approximately 24 patio home units that will be finished and built as well. And then 3 commercial lots are still vacant. We don't have any proposed users at the moment, so I just wanted to point out which ones those are. So those 3 lots, commercial lots, still don't have users. Per section 390-40 site plan review procedure that was adopted by fiscal court in September of last year, Christian Brothers Automotive is considered a category 1 development, so that means they create less than 20 peak hour trips, which does not require TRC or Planning Commission review. Burger King is a category 3 development, and they generate more than 100 peak hour trips, And so they do require TRC and Planning Commission review. Staff decided that both developments should be reviewed together, even though Christian Brothers does not require a formal public hearing. This would allow for us to review it as a more comprehensive plan, especially since they're going to be sharing the same lot and the same drainage system. So just to give you an idea, this is not the best depiction, but I wanted to give you an idea of how everything's oriented on the aerial. You can see there's an entrance located off of Claymont, and then an access located off of Claymont. So there's two of them. This one here, which I'll show you a close-up in a few minutes, that will actually serve Christian Brothers. They don't have an entrance off of Claymont Village Drive. There's just a little tiny corner that fronts on that street. So this is the proposed development, the two of them together. You can see Burger King is going to be located off the front of this tract, and then there's a 30-foot access easement that will serve Christian Brothers Automotive, and that will be recorded as a part of the minor plat process. As a part of the original approval for Claymont Crossing, they were not allowed to have any entrances off of Claymont Village Drive, which is this street here. They could only access this tract from Claymont Crossing. So we'll start with Christian Brothers. The minimum parking requirement for this auto repair establishment is 25 spaces. Christian Brothers is proposing 42 spaces, which includes 9 service bays. You can see how the lot is oriented. The proposed building is pushed more towards Veterans Memorial Parkway, and they've got parking that bound the north and the west. The minimum amount of parking spaces required for a restaurant with drive-through is 38 spaces, and the maximum, is 38, and the applicant is proposing 31 spaces. So they do meet the minimum. And you can see how this lot is oriented. This is Claymont Crossing and Veterans Memorial. They'll have an entrance for ingress and egress off of Veterans Memorial, and the drive-through comes around the back of the building. Burger King has proposed 17 permeable parking spaces so that the site will remain in compliance with the impervious surface requirement of 65%. Per TRC comments, the applicant has agreed to provide a maintenance schedule for the county engineer's review. And that is a maintenance schedule for regular cleaning and updating of the permeable pavement. Burger King's revised photometric plan does not exceed 0.2 foot candles at the property lines or 8 foot candles total on site. Per staff's recommendation, the poles will be lowered to 12 feet tall on 2-foot pedestals, so 14 feet total. And in staff's opinion, this is adequate. They're basically meeting what we've asked them to do to help with the light spill off onto residential properties. And so the original lighting plan that you received did not meet our standards, and this one does, the revised one that they submitted last week. So just some pictures. This is the north view, looking north on Highway 329 from the Claymont Crossing entrance. This is the south view, Highway 329. And just a general location of where the Burger King site and the Christian Brothers site will be located. This is the east view. So Burger King site will be located in this direction. You can see Dragon Drive across the street. It's another east view showing the Dragon Drive entrance and exit. This is the west view looking down Claymont Crossing. To the left is the subject property, 6402 Claymont Crossing. And just another view of the west where the Burger King site will be located. You can see the patio homes for the Garden Springs development to the west. Just a zoomed in view. Again, another view of the west. So I'm standing currently, in this picture, I'm standing on the Burger King site. This is the adjoining property to the west. If you look in the right-hand corner, there's an aerial view where the star is located. That's what we're looking at, 6450 Claymont Crossing, which is currently a vacant commercial property. And additionally, this is the entrance for the villas of Claymont Springs, which will be 27 garden homes. These are the adjoining, we considered them adjoining properties, even though there's only a corner technically that is across the street from the gardens of Claymont Springs. So we did notify 6005 and 6001 Overbrook Court, which is located in this garden home building. So I'm standing, probably standing in this location on that corner, looking out towards the garden homes. This is looking south towards Claymont Village Drive cul-de-sac. There's still, again, an additional commercial lot that's to be developed, and that's to your left. That's 6007 Claymont Village Drive, who actually has access off of Claymont Village Drive. And again, this cul-de-sac runs all the way to the back and serves the other 3 commercial properties as a part of this development. This is a view from Dragon Drive looking into the development. So Burger King and Christian Brothers will share frontage along Veterans Memorial Parkway. And just another view from Dragon Drive. So in summary, docket PZ 17026, the application has been filed by Christian Brothers Automotive for the approval of a 5,197 square foot auto repair establishment on approximately 0.87 acres. And docket PZ 17027, application has been filed by Carroll's LLC for the approval of a 2,811 square foot Burger King on approximately 0.9 acres. So you will review these as 2 separate docketed items. You will make 2 separate decisions, but we just wanted to review them with you together so you could understand how they're both going to fit basically on the same lot. And that's all that I have.
Alrighty, before we open it up for questions, I'd like to call on Ms. Wall, our Oldham County traffic consultant, and I think she has some information for us also. Well, I don't think we have you sworn in, and
Just gonna remind you of that.
okay, Ms. Fox, if you'll swear her in,
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
and name and address for the record, please.
Paula Wall, Neil Schaefer, 200 Whittington Parkway, 40222. What I'm going to present today is just, this is a copy of the memo that I prepared for our TRC meeting, which was last week. Basically, to summarize for this project, the developer was, because I believe the fast track of the review of this case, they went ahead and prepared a traffic study that was submitted initially with the plan. Our office, along with the state, has went through a review of it. The comments that have been made include some pretty significant items that are causing it to be, traffic counts to be retaken due to they were initially taken during the summer months. And the adjustment factors that were requested that they use, the state's of the opinion that they wanted, because of the detail that they need to evaluate the improvements, they wanted the traffic counts to be redone, which I believe the developer is planning to do those this week. So it's still under review. The traffic study is still under review. There was also some additional data that's going to be included in the study, so we have a full picture of what's going to occur in the future. They're going to add some of the additional traffic that's left to be constructed out there with the single-family units and the villas. Also, some other outlots are going to be included, so that we'll have a total picture, the best we can, of what the future will require and what turning movements are possible, because basically what the analysis shown from the existing data that we had, that was traffic that was even collected during the summer, that left turn lanes on Veterans Parkway are required even with existing traffic. The state is also evaluating the existing infrastructure and pavement to see if it's even possible that maybe just some restriping can occur with the existing pavement to accommodate those turn movements. We have yet to have that determination from the Highway Department. But the traffic will indicate how long the length of those turning lanes need to be, and what the full cost and implications of that will be, in order to determine what this applicant and possibly other applicants may have to build or contribute to. So that's the status of that.
Does that complete your presentation
so,
then?
yeah.
Okay. All right, Commissioners, any questions for staff? For either Ms. Beeman or Ms. Wall? Any questions for staff? Mr. Douglas, I'm sorry, I missed your hand.
I wasn't sure I was going to raise it, but I'm a little confused.
Okay.
So we don't have all the information we need?
Is your mic on, sir?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess your information you're giving us is basically, I don't understand it. I mean, what are you trying to tell us? You don't have the information?
We do not have the final traffic study to be able to report whether, what improvements are needed to mitigate traffic by the Burger King and also other development going on in the area.
Am I the only one confused? I mean,
Just to clarify, the left, we know without this development, the two left turns, one into Claymont and one into Dragon Drive, are warranted without this build out. What we don't know currently is, number one, if a right turn into Claymont is going to be warranted. We'll know that once we get the updated counts that I believe they're working on getting this week, and the additional trip generation from the commercial lots that are yet to be developed, and the other residential section that's yet to be developed. And additionally, we don't know what improvements will be required, because we don't know if that right turn is necessary, and we don't know what the depth is of the existing shoulder, so we don't know if it's going to be restriping or if it's going to be a widening of Veterans Memorial Parkway. And that'll all come from the state, because it's a state road.
Urban, you want to follow up on that?
Well, she explained pretty well. I'm not sure that there's much else to explain other than, again, to reiterate that turn lanes are already warranted but aren't out there. And so the question is, what is the proportional share of a particular development to make improvements? And we don't have a formula, and there isn't really any understanding yet. So like Brooke said in her staff report, the Christian Brothers project really doesn't even need to be in front of the commission, other than it's kind of they're dividing off a piece on the same parcel, because they don't generate a lot of trips that would include or require any kind of turning movement analysis or whatever. And so we're trying to figure out with the cabinet, I've asked the planning department of the cabinet to go out and look at the existing pavement width and the construction of the shoulders to see if there's at least enough existing pavement to put in the turn lanes, in which case it would simply be restriping. And then the traffic analysis would be whether or not a right turn lane is required. So, given that there were residents who were notified of this meeting and the applicant was notified of this meeting, we thought we'd go through the entire presentation to kind of expose any and all conditions, and then we can consider whether or not we table or can make some kind of a binding element that says they must comply with the traffic analysis at the end of the hearing.
Answer your question, sir, right now?
just a little more confused maybe with the justification of continuance if we don't have all the facts in front of us. That's the only concern I have, though we're proceeding through a hearing, but we don't have all the facts.
Well, and in the past, we've tabled hearings and give direction to the applicant about a specific issue that needs to be clarified or further studied. And I think we could do that with this particular application, if that's what you so choose after hearing all the testimony.
So is it my understanding that the reason this wasn't put off to another meeting was because all the notices had already been sent? Everyone was planning to come,
Correct.
Yes.
so we proceeded even though we don't have the information that we need to approve it? Because everybody already planned to be here?
Yes, and also I think we can separate out the Christian Brothers application, because again, the only reason it's really here is because it's combined on the
Correct.
site and for everybody's notice.
Okay, because I had the same concern as Mr. Douglas did. Thank you.
Okay. Any additional questions for staff? Ms. Crosby?
I am very confused. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that we didn't have a complete traffic study. And I'm gonna just be fair to Mr. Christian Brothers. I cannot be fair to you because I don't have enough information before me to make a fair decision for you and your project.
Ms. Crosby, don't be careful about
Sorry, I'm making
testifying.
Yeah, yeah.
testimony, I don't want to do that, but I just think we need to table this or something, because this is just, I don't see where we can be fair. I'm
Ms. Crosby,
sorry.
the reason, it's here, it's because it had already been advertised, and a lot of folks had taken off today to attend this meeting. So, we thought it was important to at least go through the meeting, and, then if we want to split this out, we can. If there's still some concerns about both Christian Brothers and Burger King, then we can, request, we can move to table it at that time, but at least we'll have the folks that are here will have an opportunity to express their concerns, and, because they took the time to take off and to be here today. So that's why we, wanted to make sure that they had an opportunity to be heard. And so that's one of the reasons that we proceeded on with this hearing.
Yeah, and you're saying you don't have enough information, but you haven't even heard any testimony yet. So,
Well, the traffic study does
Yes, Mr. Horton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So if we continue with the hearing and the applicant goes through everything and we complete the hearing, at that time, we can then make motions, table, do whatever. Now, my question is, when they bring forth the information that we need to finish the application, will we start the hearing at where we end it? In other words, they won't have to go through an entire hearing.
Correct.
And those people of the public here, they will know what we know by
Yes.
having been here today, and then we'll handle it when they come back.
that's correct, and in the past, when we've tabled a docketed item, we give the applicant specific direction on what information we want them to bring back, and in this case, it's the completed traffic analysis.
And everyone here will know exactly what that
Everybody
is.
will know exactly where we
Okay.
are.
There
Thank
may,
you.
I
Thank
just
you,
wanted
Mr.
to
Chairman.
point out, there may also be other issues that are brought up by the adjoining property owners that you may need some additional information. So we wanted to be able to give them the time, if you choose to table it, to, in addition to the traffic study, bring forward any other items that may be required.
Okay. Any additional questions for staff? Mr.
Chairman.
McWilliams?
Not a question, just a comment.
Okay.
I mean, everybody's here. Let's do this. Get it under our belt, and at the end of it, we can make a decision to table.
Sure. Absolutely.
Opposed to inconveniencing a lot of folks who are already inconvenienced. And I agree, it's not a good thing to come here and not have all our information, but
Right.
I think we need to be a little flexible.
Ms. Smith, did you have something?
Yes, I'm not comfortable with this, but I really would like to know when you first knew that you didn't have all the information.
Well, the state sent me a letter and Paula a letter on Tuesday, August 15th with their comments, which were, Paula had some comments, we as the county had some comments, but we thought we'd be able to work through those pretty quickly. It was really the state's comments that would require a total new count, which is why they couldn't get the revision in time. They couldn't do counts on Friday. We met on Thursday with the state and with the applicant's traffic engineer. We couldn't do counts on Friday because they don't, the cabinet does not recognize counts on Friday afternoon as applicable because people leave early and things like that. Monday was the eclipse, so the cabinet knew there was going to be some missing people, and the counts again would not be applicable. Today's the hearing, and tomorrow is the earliest they could get in additional traffic counts as related to the state's comments. So that's why.
So the short answer to your question, Ms. Smith, is we were notified last Tuesday, a week ago.
Thank you.
And that's, again, it was advertised, people were put on notice. So that's why we're recommending let's move forward with the hearing and then make some determination once we hear all the evidence and we close public comment.
Okay.
I just want it
Any-
verified that I'm very uncomfortable with this.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just to
Mr.
follow up, I know that we're wanting to proceed for convenience because the people were here, but then I'm concerned that at the next hearing for the follow-up, these people are not here, or will they show up again because they want to hear what the final analysis was of the traffic study and what any binding elements or conditions of approval that may be placed on the applicant. If they're not here legally, I mean, I'm a little concerned that all the information wasn't presented to them if they didn't show up. So,
They'll get notice again of the next meeting.
well, that's
I'll
what I'm
send them out
saying.
another
They're going to have to
notice.
show up again.
Either way.
Either way, they're going to have to show up.
Let's-
So, either we make a motion to table it, or either we make a motion to continue on with incomplete information.
Yeah.
Just continue on and then make a decision later.
Yeah, we'll make a decision at the end today, whether we table this or whether we consider one or the other or neither. Whether we move to table both of them, we can. If we want to split them out and consider, Christian Brothers over Burger King, we have that option. But, as chair, I think it's important that we go ahead and, continue with the hearing, hear all the facts, and then, make a decision at the end whether we table or whether we do something else. But, any additional questions for staff before we move on? Okay, let's move in with the presentation by the applicant, representatives, and others in support of the application. I'll need to get your name and address, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, my name is John Treitz. I'm with Stahl, Keenan, Ogden, the law firm at 500 West Jefferson Street, Louisville, Kentucky, 40202.
Would you spell your last name?
Treitz.
Okay.
And I'd like to introduce these folks, if I may, and after I introduce them, have them sworn. The first person is Jonathan Wakefield. Jonathan is the new store development director and manager for Christian Brothers. The next person is Amanda Aldridge, and she is the real estate manager for Carroll's, and Andrew Baker, who is the construction manager for Carroll's.
Okay.
If you could swear them in, that would be great.
Yes, Ms. Fox, please.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
If I can just start by saying one thing, there are two cases here. First case is the Christian Brothers case, which, as someone mentioned earlier, I don't know if it was staff or even the chairman, is really not something that necessarily needs to be here at this point because everything has been approved, and the development plan, we have shown up as part of the overall presentation, but we really we don't have a traffic study issue. There's nothing that affects us. We've done everything we're supposed to do in order to proceed ahead to acquire the property and build the project. Amanda, do you want to speak on behalf of?
Well,
Get you to come forward a little bit closer. Sure. Thank you.
I know I'm not a great public speaker. I apologize for that. I'm the real estate manager for a reason.
She's actually an orator.
And just give us your address, please.
Oh,
business address.
917 Harbor View Drive, Memphis, Tennessee.
Okay, thank you.
Our engineer could not be here today because of a family emergency. His wife is in surgery right now, so that's why, although I would have been here anyway, that's why he is not here. And the main reason I wanted to show up, and I knew there were going to be issues as far as the traffic study, and you need the rest of the information, and we completely understand that. But I knew there was a lot of community concern, and we want the community to know me, see me, so that I can we want to be a part of the community. We're excited about Crestwood and being there. So I'm here as kind of the direct that fun stuff towards me, and it gets a little technical and I have to take questions back. But I mean, I'll give my name and number to everybody here, and they are welcome to call me, talk to me, address concerns, but that's the main reason I'm here. I knew a lot of people were coming anyway, so I'll come back as many times as it takes to get it done. So, thank you.
All right,
very
thank you.
much.
If Mr. Wakefield could testify now.
Yeah, need to get you up on the microphone if you could.
We'd like for Mr. Wakefield to testify now on behalf of Christian Brothers, please.
Okay, yes, sir. And just name and address for the record.
Yes, sir. Jonathan Wakefield, New Store Development Director for Christian Brothers Automotive, 3783 Gold Leaf Trail Drive, Katy, Texas, otherwise known as Houston. Thank you for going ahead and allowing me to speak today, and not only for the folks that are in attendance to discuss details about our joint project, but also my day started at 3 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday trying to get here with weather delays. I rolled into the Galt House at 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm on 4.5 hours of sleep, and I really don't want to do this again. But if you so choose, I'll happily come back for the next meeting. But again, I think we owe it to your constituents for them to have a voice, and any concerns that they may or may not have concerning Christian Brothers Automotive specifically, be happy to address. Would like to start by saying that of all the things that are on the table today, one thing that is not is Burger King's allowed use or Christian Brothers allowed use per C3. Not to overstate it, but that's really not up for debate. Several of the folks that came to the technical review committee that was handled by our construction director was related to automotive use and how it may or may not affect their neighborhood. As a courtesy to our future customers, any questions they happen to have, I'm happy to answer, whether that has to do with acoustics, traffic, lighting, noise, or the perception of the automotive industry. On my way in here from Highway 71, I passed a 3-bay automotive service facility for lease on the main drag coming in. Its two primary colors were faded chipped white paint and rust. I understand why automotive service gets something of a negative nod from time to time. And so with that in mind, I'd like to start with what we are as opposed to what they are not, or what we are not, rather. I just blew out the cursor. Oh well. This is our architecture. 9 bay doors and a stone and brick cottage. So it's basically a home with an extended garage. According to the site plan, if you remember that from a previous viewing, our bays are faced inboard towards the street. The back of our building is what is facing the neighborhoods. Our acoustics are faced inboards towards the street. Our lighting is also faced inboard towards the street. All of our lighting is full cutoff, downcast. By the time this store is built, we're probably somewhere around number 200 in our fleet. We have existing stores in Phoenix, Arizona, which also comes with Phoenix Night Sky ordinances, which are the toughest in the nation. We bring their ordinances to your town. So if it's tougher somewhere else, we work to make it work there so that it absolutely works here. Per CNN Money's 100 top places to live, which you should be on that list, we have existing stores in 26 of those 100 markets. Christian Brothers absolutely knows how to operate in high-end locales and with customers that also have extremely high standards. Most people come into you and they promise something with an artist rendering, not unlike this one, and then you never really know what you're going to get. This is a finished store. This is not a jazzed up version. This is a standard prototype. This is our start value. Literally, this is the worst thing we build. Well, there's a real important reason to show this little car, besides the fact that it's about 7 years out of date and I need a new picture. The Chrysler 300C's changed a bit since then. But we offer a shuttle service that after about 6 months of being in operation, Monday through Saturday, we cease operations on Saturday. So we are only open Monday through Friday. We also close by 6, no later than 6:30 at night. If we have a straggler, somebody picking up their vehicle, we might keep the doors open till 7 if we have to, but that's our outside date. So what that tells our neighbors is that on the weekends, when you're outside barbecuing, so are we. We're not at the location, we're not fixing cars. By the time you get home for dinner, guess where we're trying to be? We're trying to get home to dinner. So we're all on the same schedule. So a lot of the things that may seem like a negative, we're simply not doing those things at the time that you're home. Extraordinarily clean facility. That store is in Cary, North Carolina. It had been open about 6 months at the time that I personally took that picture. And this last one, interior office photo. Our goal is to look like a doctor's office and not an auto repair facility. The reason I share all these things with you is so that you'll understand the high standards that we're bringing. And in the future, if you have another automotive use that wants to come in and they need to be approved by a CUP, SUP, PUD amendment, I speak all that language. I'm a former Marine. I speak acronym fluently. You can simply point to us and say, if you can't do it as well as they did, don't bother. That's what we want to bring to your county and particularly this municipality. So with that, any site-specific questions you might have, we're fully compliant. We require no variances. We are a Category 1. To Ms. Crosby's earlier question, how can you fairly vote on Christian Brothers Automotive as a standalone? We have 2 items in our site plan that are in fact conjoined. Everything else could be separated, but 2 are conjoined. One is access, and Brooke, can you make sure I do this right? That's the one I need. Yep. Good, thank you. Just, some people have that electronic aura and computers just work. I'm not one of those people. So the primary is access. If that 30-foot access easement is there, and that's part of our site plan, if that's there, we can be accessed, we can operate. We also received comments from the TRC. There were 11. Number 11 was, did you adequately address stormwater? Yes, we did. As a matter of fact, we tripled the on-site underground storage capacity. That was not free, but we got it done. We went from 3,000 gallons worth of internal capacity to 10,000 gallons worth of stormwater capacity. We just did it because we were asked to. So what I would propose, not that I can make a motion, but I can certainly propose this, and you can take it under advisement, table it, do what you want. What I would propose is that Christian Brothers be voted on today, approved up or down, with a contingency that our approval goes with the later approval of Burger King. If Burger King in the future decides is not approved or financial constraints or whatever, and I would hate for this to happen, they've been such a great partner, but if something were to happen to their project, we would then come back to you as a single project and basically start this thing all over again. But what we would like to have happen is to give the seller of the property, who has owned this thing for many, many years, some comfort that half of this thing is approved, contingent upon the vote and balance of the Burger King site. And with that approval, again, with the traffic study being finalized, thank you for the input from the traffic folks, their site plan would then be amended to reflect whatever comments they are. Whatever they have to do, I'm still a 5,000 square foot rectangle with X number of parking spaces with a 30-foot drive and 10,000 gallon capacity of stormwater, a Cat 1 fully compliant, other than the approval of the Burger King. So I'm really good at reading tea leaves and people's faces and nods, and I think I'm getting some positive. So when I get my first positive, I like to stop talking and let you think and decide for yourselves. If you decide something otherwise, I'll see you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
I don't know if, would you like to say anything further at this point, Amanda? No. On behalf of Carol's?
I mean,
These are two separate projects, two separate development
We have
plans.
been
But we've been
working
very, very
together.
cooperative
Absolutely, been working
And-
together. The traffic study kind of
through things.
threw things off. And we're working, I mean, it's happening on Wednesday. We're doing it as quick as humanly possible to get it done. You know, whatever comes back as far as road improvements, things like that, Carroll's will shoulder that burden. That's the best thing I can say about traffic. And we don't normally really have.
Do you all have, does Burger King have a presentation that you were going to make today?
Well, our engineer is really the one that was going to walk through all the plans that he sent.
Okay.
You guys, I guess, does everybody see what Gary sent? Like, all the plans that were sent in? Or do you just see those? Like the ones, oh, you don't
They
have-
just saw the site plan and the lighting plan. They didn't see any of the utility or
Okay.
drainage. That's typically just reviewed by staff, more in a technical nature.
Okay. No, so I don't have
Okay.
any additional fancy pictures.
Okay.
It was
But-
certainly an unexpected development with the engineer.
Right.
That was very unfortunate. And the new study.
Right. Okay. All right. That's, we understand.
And I apologize for that. I kind of knew I'd be back on the 26th, so with an engineer and with the traffic engineer.
Sure.
And I'll definitely bring lots of pretty pictures.
Okay. So does that,
And anything else that you want me to bring.
okay. Does that
But-
complete your all's application then as far
It
as,
does for me, for
Okay.
Carol's, yes.
For today.
For today, yes.
and then Christian Brothers, have that pretty much complete your application, and other, when we get into questions?
Yes, sir. We're just fully prepared to answer any questions either from the audience or from the commission.
Okay. All right.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. One question came up about sound and
About what? I'm sorry.
sound
Oh,
from the drive-through.
Okay.
And, which I learned a lot about sound, and I didn't know there was pink noise. There's white noise and pink noise, all kinds of good things. There was a report that we had done that talked about the decibels, and I believe it was somewhere in the 50s or 60s at the max when you're there at 3 feet. We do have a system that, as things wind down at night, there's less traffic, ours automatically adjusts so the volume is lower at night. So when it's quieter outside, the volume is automatically decreased based on the pink noise, which I found kind of interesting. The stadium across the street is more than double the decibels, kind of learned that about stadiums and crowds. But at over 300 feet away, the nearest home, you'd be really having to work to hear someone ordering a Whopper. It would be hard, very, very difficult.
Okay. All right. Does that complete your application at this point, sir?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we present Christian Brothers for questions at this stage?
Well, we'll open it up for questions here in just a little bit. We've got kind of a procedure we have to follow here.
Okay,
And so, but if that completes both of your all's presentations this morning? Okay, all right. With that, let me ask, is there anyone here that would like to speak in support of this application? Anyone to speak in support of? Okay, I tell you what, before we get into any testimony or questioning of folks opposing the application, I think we're going to go ahead and take our lunch break at 11:45 and be back here by about 12:45 if we can, commissioners. And I would just encourage you all to, not speak to the commissioners at lunch today, and that way we'll get hopefully we can get back by 12:45, 10 till, something like that. So, and then we will start with the testimony and questioning of those opposing the application when we get back from our recess. So with that, we will stand adjourned.